Welcome! You've reached a quiet place. This is Bible Before Sleep, a place to end the day not with distraction but with meaning. Before we begin tonight, a brief note. You'll hear a new voice. For technical reasons, I'm now guiding you through Scripture. Everything else remains the same. Let's continue. Last time, we covered Genesis chapter 3 verses 1 through 24, where we saw the fall, the serpent's temptation, the eating of the forbidden fruit, shame entering the world, God's judgment on the serpent, the woman, and the man, and finally, the expulsion from Eden, Adam and Eve driven out of paradise, the way back guarded by cherubim and a flaming sword. Everything broke in Genesis 3. The world as God intended it was lost. Tonight, we continue with Genesis chapter 4 verses 1 through 16. This is the story of Cain and Abel, the first two sons of Adam and Eve, the first brothers, and the first murder. We have moved from the garden to the world outside, from paradise to exile, and now we see what sin looks like in the next generation. Not just disobedience but violence, not just shame but bloodshed, brother against brother. The first time a human being takes the life of another human being. This is not an easy chapter. It is dark, it is brutal, but it is necessary. Because this is what Genesis 3 produces. When sin enters the world, it does not stay contained. It spreads, it grows, it escalates. And here, in Genesis 4, we see how quickly it turns deadly. But we also see God, still present, still speaking, still offering warning and mercy even when humanity refuses to listen. God confronts Cain before the murder. God warns him. And even after the murder, God does not destroy Cain. He marks him, protects him, and sends him away. So tonight, we read. We see what happened between these two brothers. We look at what God said and what it means. And then we ask what it means for us, living in a world where Cain's violence is still echoing, where jealousy still turns to rage, where blood still cries out from the ground. This is where the story continues. This is the first murder, and this is the world we inherited. Let's begin. Let me read Genesis chapter 4 verses 1 through 16. Now the man knew his wife Eve, and she conceived and bore Cain, saying, I have produced a man with the help of the Lord. Next she bore his brother Abel. Now Abel was a keeper of sheep, and Cain a tiller of the ground. In the course of time Cain brought to the Lord an offering of the fruit of the ground, and Abel for his part brought of the firstlings of his flock, their fat portions. And the Lord had regard for Abel and his offering, but for Cain and his offering he had no regard. So Cain was very angry, and his face fell. The Lord said to Cain, Why are you angry, and why has your face fallen? If you do well, will you not be accepted? And if you do not do well, sin is lurking at the door. Its desire is for you, but you must master it. Cain said to his brother Abel, Let us go out to the field. And when they were in the field, Cain rose up against his brother Abel and killed him. Then the Lord said to Cain, Where is your brother Abel? He said, I do not know. Am I my brother's keeper? And the Lord said, What have you done? Listen, your brother's blood is crying out to me from the ground. And now you are cursed from the ground, which has opened its mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand. When you till the ground, it will no longer yield to you its strength. You will be a fugitive and a wanderer on the earth. Cain said to the Lord, My punishment is greater than I can bear. Today you have driven me away from the soil, and I shall be hidden from your presence. I shall be a fugitive and a wanderer on the earth, and anyone who meets me may kill me. Then the Lord said to him, "Not so. Whoever kills Cain will suffer a sevenfold vengeance." And the Lord put a mark on Cain, so that no one who came upon him would kill him. Then Cain went away from the presence of the Lord and settled in the land of Nod, east of Eden. Now let's look at what just happened. Adam and Eve have been expelled from Eden. They are now living in the world outside the garden, and Eve gives birth to their first son, Cain. She says, "I have produced a man with the help of the Lord." There's hope in that statement. Despite everything that happened in Genesis 3, despite the curse, despite the exile, life continues. Children are born. Humanity moves forward. And then Abel is born. The text doesn't record Eve's words this time, just the fact. She bore his brother Abel. 2 sons, 2 different vocations. Abel becomes a keeper of sheep, a shepherd. Cain becomes a tiller of the ground, a farmer. Like his father Adam, who was sent out of Eden to till the ground from which he was taken. And in the course of time, both brothers bring offerings to the Lord. This is remarkable. They are outside Eden, they cannot return to the garden, but they still worship. They still bring offerings to God. The relationship with God is broken, yes, but it is not completely severed. There is still acknowledgement, still sacrifice, still some form of connection. Cain brings an offering of the fruit of the ground, the produce of his labour. Abel brings the firstlings of his flock, the fat portions, the best of what he has. And the Lord had regard for Abel and his offering, but for Cain and his offering he had no regard. The text does not tell us why. It does not explain what was wrong with Cain's offering or what was right with Abel's. Some have speculated that it was the quality. Abel brought the firstlings, the best, while Cain just brought some of the fruit. Others say it was the nature of the offering, blood sacrifice versus grain offering. Still others point to the heart behind the offering. Abel gave in faith, Cain gave out of obligation. The text does not say. What it does say is this: God accepted one and rejected the other, and Cain knew it. And Cain was very angry, and his face fell. This is the first mention of anger in Scripture, and it comes from rejection, from comparison, from seeing someone else receive what you did not. Cain is not angry at himself. He is angry at the situation, angry that his brother was accepted and he was not. And God sees it. God sees Cain's anger. God sees his face fallen, and God speaks to him. Why are you angry, and why has your face fallen? If you do well, will you not be accepted? God is giving Cain a choice, a way forward. Do well. Bring what is acceptable. The rejection is not final. The door is not closed. You can still be accepted. But then God adds a warning. And if you do not do well, sin is lurking at the door. Its desire is for you, but you must master it. This is the first time the word sin appears in the Bible, and it is personified. Sin is not just an action, it is a force, a presence. It is crouching at the door like a predator waiting to pounce, and its desire is for Cain. It wants him. It wants to control him. It wants to consume him. But God says, you must master it. You have a choice. Sin is powerful, yes, but you are not helpless. You can rule over it. You can master it, if you choose to. Cain does not respond to God. The text does not record any reply. Instead, it records what he does next. Cain said to his brother Abel, "Let us go out to the field." And when they were in the field, Cain rose up against his brother Abel and killed him. No explanation, no detail, just the act. Cain invites Abel into the field, and he kills him. The first murder, brother against brother. The first human death is not natural. It is not old age. It is not accident. It is violence. It is murder. Sin was crouching at the door, and Cain did not master it. He opened the door, and sin devoured him. And then the Lord speaks, just as he did in Genesis 3 when Adam and Eve hid after eating the fruit. God comes looking. God asks a question. Where is your brother Abel? God knows. Of course he knows. But he gives Cain the chance to confess, to own what he has done, to tell the truth. And Cain's response is defiant. I do not know. Am I my brother's keeper? This is not just denial. This is mockery. Cain is not only refusing to confess, he is challenging the premise of the question itself. Am I responsible for my brother? Am I supposed to keep track of him? Why are you asking me? It echoes Adam's blame-shifting in Genesis 3. The woman whom you gave to be with me, she gave me fruit. Now Cain says, essentially, why should I be responsible for him? But God does not accept this. God speaks again, and this time there is no question about what Cain has done. God confronts him directly. What have you done? Listen, your brother's blood is crying out to me from the ground. Abel's blood cries out. The first death has a voice. Murder does not stay hidden. Violence leaves a mark. The ground itself bears witness to what Cain has done, and God hears it. This is a profound statement. Blood cries out. Injustice has a voice. When one human being takes the life of another, it is not just a private matter. It is not something that can be buried and forgotten. The earth itself testifies, and God hears, and then God pronounces judgment. And now you are cursed from the ground, which has opened its mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand. When you till the ground, it will no longer yield to you its strength. You will be a fugitive and a wanderer on the earth. Cain's curse is connected to the ground. He is a farmer, a tiller of the soil. That is his identity. That is his work. And now, the ground will not cooperate. It will not yield its strength. His labour will be futile. He will work and get nothing in return. But more than that, he will be a fugitive and a wanderer, homeless, rootless, constantly moving, never able to settle, never able to rest. This is exile beyond exile. Adam and Eve were driven from Eden, but they still had each other. They still had a place to go. Cain will have neither, and Cain's response reveals something. For the first time he speaks honestly. My punishment is greater than I can bear. Today you have driven me away from the soil, and I shall be hidden from your presence. I shall be a fugitive and a wanderer on the earth, and anyone who meets me may kill me. Cain understands what he has lost. He will be hidden from God's presence. He will be vulnerable, alone, and he is afraid. He fears that someone will do to him what he did to Abel. That violence will beget violence. That blood will demand blood. And here, remarkably, God shows mercy. Not so. Whoever kills Cain will suffer a sevenfold vengeance. God does not want Cain killed, even after murder, even after defiance. God puts a mark on Cain, not as a brand of shame, though some have read it that way, but as protection, a sign that says this man is under God's protection. Do not touch him. Why? Perhaps because God does not want the cycle of violence to continue. Perhaps because even Cain, the first murderer, is still made in the image of God. Perhaps because judgment belongs to God, not to human vengeance. The text does not explain. It simply says, God marked him, and no one who came upon him would kill him. And then Cain went away from the presence of the Lord and settled in the land of Nod, east of Eden. East of Eden, farther away, deeper into exile, away from God's presence. This is the end of Cain's story in this chapter. He goes away, he settles, and he lives, marked and wandering, in a land whose name means wandering. This is Genesis 4, the first murder and the beginning of a long, dark history of violence in the human story. So what does this mean for us? What does it mean that Cain's offering was rejected? That anger turned to murder? That God warned him and he didn't listen? That blood cries out from the ground? It means we are still living in the shadow of Genesis 4. Cain's violence did not end with him. It echoes through history, through every act of jealousy that turns to rage, through every brother who harms his brother, through every time anger is allowed to fester until it destroys. Look at what happened to Cain. His offering was rejected, he was angry, his face fell, and God came to him. God spoke to him. God warned him. Sin is crouching at the door. Its desire is for you, but you must master it. How many of us have been there? Rejected, overlooked, passed over for someone else. We worked hard, we brought our offering, and it wasn't enough. Someone else got the promotion, someone else got the recognition, someone else was chosen, and we are angry. And in that anger, something shifts. We start to resent the person who was chosen. We start to compare. We start to imagine scenarios where they fail and we succeed. We start to fantasize about their downfall, and we tell ourselves it's justified. They don't deserve it. We do. It's not fair. This is where Cain was, and God said, "Sin is crouching at the door. Its desire is for you. You must master it." But we don't. We open the door, we let the anger in, we feed it, we nurse it, we justify it, and it grows, it takes root, it spreads, and one day it manifests. Maybe not as murder, maybe not as physical violence, but as sabotage, as gossip, as betrayal, as the deliberate destruction of someone else's life because we believe they took what was ours, and we tell ourselves it's not that bad, it's not like we killed anyone. But Jesus said in Matthew 5, "You have heard that it was said to those of ancient times, 'You shall not murder, and whoever murders shall be liable to judgment.' But I say to you that if you are angry with a brother or sister, you will be liable to judgment. Anger that is not mastered becomes murder in the heart, and murder in the heart is still sin crouching at the door." So what do? How do we master it? We confess it. We name it. We stop pretending it's not there. We stop justifying it. We stop feeding it, and we bring it to God before it consumes us. Because here's what Cain didn't do. When God asked him, "Why are you angry?" Cain didn't answer. He didn't confess. He didn't say, "I'm hurt. I'm jealous. I feel rejected." He stayed silent. He nursed the wound, and then he acted on it. And once he acted, once Abel's was dead, there was no going back. The blood cried out from the ground. The damage was done. The relationship was destroyed, and Cain spent the rest of his life wandering, marked, exiled, away from God's presence. This is what unmastered anger does. It doesn't just hurt the person we're angry at. It destroys us. It exiles us. It separates us from God. It turns us into wanderers, fugitives, people who can never rest because we are haunted by what we have done. And yet even here, even in Genesis 4, there is mercy. God marks Cain. God protects him. God does not allow the cycle of violence to continue. God does not let vengeance consume everything. Why? Because God is still God. Even in a world where brother kills brother, even in a world where blood cries out from the ground, God is still present, still speaking, still offering protection even to those who have done the unthinkable. But there is a cost. Cain goes away from the presence of the Lord. He settles in the land of Nod, the land of wandering. He is alive, yes, but he is not home. He is not at rest. He is marked, he is alone, and he is far from God. This is the consequence of refusing to master sin, not just punishment, but separation, distance, exile from the presence of God. And this is where so many of us are living. We have let anger win, we have let bitterness win, we have let jealousy win, and now we are wandering, we are restless, we are far from God, and we don't know how to get back. But here's the hope buried in this dark chapter. God still speaks, even to Cain, even after the murder. God does not abandon him. God marks him, God protects him, and God allows him to live. This is not the end of the story. Yes, Cain goes away. Yes, he settles in the land of wandering. But the story continues. Humanity continues, and one day another offering will be made. Not grain, not sheep, but the blood of God's own Son. And that blood will not cry out for vengeance. It will cry out for mercy. Hebrews 12 says, "You have come to Jesus, the mediator of a new covenant, and to the sprinkled blood that speaks a better word than the blood of Abel." Abel's blood cried out for justice. Jesus' blood cries out for forgiveness. Abel's blood condemned Cain. Jesus' blood redeems us. So if you're lying here tonight carrying anger, carrying bitterness, carrying the weight of something you have done or something done to you, Genesis 4 has something to say to you. Sin is still crouching at the door. Its desire is still for you, but you do not have to let it in. You can master it, not in your own strength, but in the strength of the one whose blood speaks a better word. Confess it, name it, bring it to God before it destroys you, before it exiles you, before it sends you wandering in the land of Nod, marked and alone. Because God is still speaking, still offering mercy, still protecting even those who do not deserve it, and he has not given up on you. Rest now. The weight of anger is heavy, the burden of bitterness is crushing, but you do not have to carry it into tomorrow. Let it go. Let God speak. Let the blood of Jesus cry out for you instead. We'll continue tomorrow. Good night.